Says I'm live. Well, let's see here. Okay, alright. Okay. There's Kyle Jackson, who I hung out with for a bit on his live stream on Facebook this morning. What's this shit here? Background opacity. Okay, probably nothing. Can you hear me okay? What's up, Kyle? How are you? Outline. Okay. JP page 2 is here. Oh boy, okay. So like I said, I have no idea if this is working or not. I just got a new video capture card that I ordered like over a month ago, and finally it showed up. And a little bit of an echo. Let's see if I can figure that out. Does that shut up? That ain't better. Loud and clear, he says. It says guitar play up. Joseph D'Angelo. Mark Holt. Dave's not here. I don't know who Dave is. I mean, it's supposed to, it's my father, but he doesn't do this kind of thing. Awesome. So you guys can hear me. Is there a room echo or anything going on? I mean, the only mic that I'm using is, my cheap little shotgun mic sitting there on top of my camera that's plugged directly into my camera. Okay. Turn down gain. Oh, this ought to be fun. Turn down the gain. Ha ha ha. God, I hate this OBS shit. This is actually Streamlabs OBS, which is a bit different from OBS Studio, which I was previously using. There is some weird thing going on with my computer that, because ideally I would like to be using this mic that is plugged into my interface. And I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's coming through out of my speakers. And but for some reason, and it works fine, when I'm recording videos and stuff like that, but for whatever reason, Windows will not recognize the signal of that microphone, and it's probably got something to do with the hardware, the software for the 18i20. Boom, boom. So does that mean you guys can hear that? So does that mean that I'm now louder? Because it's not picking up anywhere. Alright, well, let me figure out how to turn down the gain on my camera mic. Sign in. Oh, I don't need to do that because I can chat over here. Burn from Cabin Fever. I got it. BT Guns says, I got a YouTube channel. It's BT Guns. Thanks, BT Guns. There we go. Check out BT Guns. Okay, let's see. So I've been sitting here screwing with this thing for about an hour because I've been real excited for this thing to show up. Because I have wanted to, and I know the picture, the video quality you guys are seeing is real grainy right now, and I think it's because I'm using a cheap, shitty HDMI cable. So I'm gonna get a higher end HDMI cable and see if that'll carry the signal a little bit better. But for now, this will do, and I certainly do like it better than my shitty webcam that I was using before because I hate that thing. Anyway, so I've been sitting here messing with this thing for like an hour now, and there's settings on top of settings. I originally started messing with it in OBS Studio, and I cannot wrap my brain around OBS Studio. There's so many settings and stuff in there that I have no idea what they mean or what they do, and being that it's quarantine time, normally what I would do is get Tony to come over here and sit him down and let him do his thing, because he understands that kind of thing. He can figure it out. Yeah, there we go. Minus 6.1 dB. See if that's a little bit better. So he understands that kind of thing. I know he would be more than happy to help, but I can't have anybody over here right now. So, watching all the videos and stuff that I've watched, I just can't wrap my brain around this OBS thing. So, for whatever reason, I think my age is starting to show. So I had tried the Streamlabs version a while back, and I actually do have this version on my phone, even though I never use it, but I do have it. And so I thought I'd give it another try. I thought it might be a little bit more dumbed down, and it's really not. But for some reason it seemed to work okay, at least today. So I'm gonna roll with it for a little bit and see what happens. So maybe I can learn to like this one. But so far, all the streaming software stuff, I would, I wish they would make an idiot-proof version of it. So, because I know Guitar Gear, but when it comes to computers and stuff, I'm not the most knowledgeable guy in the world. So, Lord Winterheart says, I didn't like the Streamlabs version. I thought was unnecessary when you already have OBS Studio and it's free. So, Streamlabs is free too. So, I didn't pay for either one of them, which I better not be. I haven't given either one of them any of my payment information. So, although with this thing, I had put a tip jar up here on screen. I don't know if you guys are able to see that or not. I'm certainly not able. Oh, shit. Okay, and where'd the chat go? Alright. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's supposed to be showing up, but isn't. Subscriptions. Bear with me a second here, guys. I'm just farting around here trying to see if I can get this stuff to show up, because I don't see it on my screen, which means I don't think you guys do either. Care. Alright, I guess I'll Yep, it's what it is. YouTube is not receiving enough video information to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. If you guys experience buffering, sorry guys. Alright, let's get back over here. Let's see, where are we? Settings, analytics, concurrent viewers, stream health, poor. Well, it was healthy. I wonder what I did to screw that up. Enable DVR, added delay, closed captions. It should have gone with a low latency. Well, let's see. Let me get caught up here. Robert Bryant says, "Hey, glad we're all live. Greetings." Don Webb says, "Compressor before or after overdrive?" Generally, your compressor will go before all of your if you're using gain-based pedals, distortion, overdrive, fuzz, whatever. Usually, the traditional way anyway is to put the compressor before that, because you want to overdrive the compressed signal and not compress the overdriven signal, which is what would happen if you put it after. So, so always, and there's, of course, there's no rules, no set in stone rules here or anything. So, I mean, I certainly do encourage you to try it both ways, and let your ear be the judge, because you could very well find that you like the compressor better afterwards. But traditionally, most people are going to put it before, because in that order, then you will be overdriving the or distorting the compressed signal, as opposed to compressing the distorted signal. So, let's see. Mark Holt says, "Is everybody ready for 9 months from now? Is everybody ready for 9 months from now and the children of the quarantine?" I think there's going to be. We're probably about 7 or 8 months away from that now. By the time all this this first started. So, but yes, I think we are going to see a rather large baby boom at the end of the year, beginning of next year. Let's see, what do we got? Lacios says, "Hi." There's a few users in here, a few screen names in here that I don't recognize. So, if this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to you. Not that this is a regular thing. It certainly is not. I was doing the live stream thing there for, on a roughly a weekly basis there for a while. And, so part of it was just due to time constraints. For example, I've still got another video to edit today, and that one's probably going to take me at least a couple of hours, probably 3, maybe even 4. So, and I would like to be able to do that here. I want to be able to get that done here this afternoon, so that way I will have my evening free, because this evening I have a date with my couch and my PlayStation controller and my copy of Mortal Kombat 11. And that's really all I want to do tonight. Leonard Sabinski, says, "Hello from Buffalo, New York. Hope all is well with you and the family. We are doing well. My wife is my wife actually got to leave the house today to go into work. So she is, I think she's the only one there. So she's not there with other people. But she was getting a little stir crazy. I mean, I spend so much time sitting here at this desk editing video and tracks and all that kind of stuff that working from home is actually more convenient for me, which is what I have been doing. So, for my full-time job, that is, not this one. Let's see. Hope you're staying safe, Robert. Love the channel. Thank you, Ricky Compton. Appreciate it. Stephen Eastman says hello from Victoria, British Columbia. That is Western Canada, if memory serves, like far west, all the way, like West Coast west, north of Washington State, I believe. I could be wrong though. I admit my Canadian geography is, if I want to say, if my memory serves, British Columbia is all the way on the west, and like Nova Scotia is the other direction, on the other end. Oh. James Severin says, my Les Paul has the virus, it won't play right today. Well, that's, let me guess, not staying in tune? That's not the virus, dude. That's just a regular old, everyday common cold for the Les Pauls. I have learned as a Gibson player, getting a Gibson to stay in tune, you just learn to live with it. Although there is a product out nowadays called the String Butler that I'm told I keep meaning to buy one just to check it out and see if it actually works, because I've heard a lot of really good things about String Butler. But I haven't had a chance to try them yet. So. Let's see. Robert Bryant says, you just got a custom vibe and Robert Bryant says, you just got a custom vibe and it's awesome. I like it as well as my Fender Pro. What a guitar from China. It plays great. I don't know if that a custom vibe. I don't know if that's a guitar anyway. Then again, I don't even know if that is directed towards me. That might just be you guys talking amongst yourselves. This one though is from Ricky Compton, and he says, Robert, what are your favorite tubes for a JCM 900? And it's my JCM 900. I have a 4100, the dual reverb. Mine is a 1990, which is the year that amp came out. That's the 2-channel version, but not there was two-channel versions of the JCM 900. There's the dual reverb, which is the more common one, and then there's the Mark IIIs. Those are a little bit, those you don't run across very often. Those are actually a little bit more highly sought after. But for the 4100s, the year that those came out, for about the first year and a half or so that they were made, those actually came with EL34s in them. And then, like I said, about a year and a half, 2 years into the run of those amps, they actually switched them over to 5881s, aka 6L6s, and that's the one that you run into more often. The 6L6, the 5881 versions definitely have more gain on tap. So if you're looking for more gain, 5881 or one of the SLXs are probably the model that you want. When I first got mine, which again is an EL34 version, somebody had modified it and put some weird capacitor in it to drive the gain up even more, and it was just too much. So I took it to here in the Indianapolis area. We've got a local a local amp tech by the name of Kevin Sola, who was pretty well known, not even outside of Indianapolis. He's worked on amps for likes of Ted Nugent and Green Day and Hall & Oates and Mellencamp, and he's got a pretty long list of of well-known artists whose gear he has worked on and repaired, and more than once. Anyway, he knows what he's doing. He's a really, really good amp tech. So I took it over to Kevin, and when you take something and drop it off over at Kevin's house, you're going to be without it for a couple of months, because he's that backed up all the time. So, and that's quite honestly, that's the guy I want working on my amps. Anyway, but I had him put it back to stock, and I lost some gain, but the clean channel improved quite a bit, and I mean even with the everything back to stock, and even with with it not been out still as much gain as it did, it still has plenty. But the higher gain, the 5881s though are the higher gain versions. I've always wanted to get one of those, because those are everywhere. I've always wanted to pick up one of those and just modify the hell out of it, and modify it for like KT88 tubes or something stupid, and you know, change the Tolex and, you know, do all kinds of crazy stuff to it. So I've always wanted to do that, but I've never gotten around to it. So let's see. Mark Holt, Scorpion or Sub-Zero? Oh, Scorpion, no question. Scorpion's my favorite, all-time favorite all-time favorite Mortal Kombat character. But Sub-Zero is up there as well. But Scorpion's always been my favorite. Let's see. Lord Winterheart says, yes, we did have a little buffering on stream. I know both are free, but I just don't see the point in the OG version works better. I will weigh in on that after I use the Streamlabs version. I mean, actually, I'm sitting here reading the chat right now on, you know, through the YouTube studio site instead of, I'll turn that down a little bit more, you know, through the YouTube studio site instead of OBS. So, let's see. Wow, BT Guns is plugging his new channel pretty hard, like a lot. You guys, why is Robert's voice so low? Can you guys still hear me okay? I turned the gain on the mic down a little bit. I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not. It was loud and clear, you guys said, but I don't know. Noah Smith says, I just redid my old Strat, put a humbucker and replaced the bridge on it. Stephen Eastman says, you don't get much farther west, so I guess that means my Canadian geography was correct, at least in that instance. Let's see, what do we got? We're here in Norway, Europe. Lord Winterheart. Ricky Compton says, we have the coronavirus bad here in Michigan. I don't have it, or any of my family members have it. So, unfortunately, I have a family member that has it. And, not looking good. We also have a few other friends from from our church, a couple that have both tested positive for coronavirus. So, yeah, bad stuff. I'm not, but because of all that stuff, I'm not in a real big hurry to start getting out of the house either. Zoe! Sorry, Zoe's going nuts. She's out there downstairs looking out the window. BT Gun says, I will do a tent. No. Nope, no more plugging channels. Ricky Compton says, I have the 2100 Mark III in white. I put JJ tubes in. Yeah, I tend to, JJs are kind of my default tube brand as well. I know some people hate them because they're not high-end tubes. They're pretty expensive, but I kind of had the theory that they're not inexpensive, but they are they're affordable. They're not cheap like Chinese-made rubies or anything, but they're you're not paying the money for those that you are like Mullards or something like that. But I've always gotten good sound out of them. As soon if you bias them, if you bias the amp accordingly, and I've always had good luck with them. They're reliable. They don't seem to. I've had maybe one that's one preamp tube that went microphonic on me, one JJ preamp tube, but that's the only one time that happened, and I'm not convinced that it wasn't something inside the amp that didn't cause that either. So Jack Rosas is here. Nice to see you as well, sir. here. I'm gonna try. Can you guys hear me? I mean, it doesn't look, my audio doesn't appear to be clipping anymore, but I mean, it's still hitting in the yellow quite a bit, so I don't want to turn it back up. I'm gonna leave it there until you guys start complaining about not being able to hear me. Then I'll crank it up some more. Besides, if I crank it up, you guys are gonna have to hear my dog bark more and more because she's doing that and driving me crazy. Why do people hate on the JC900 so much? I love mine. You know, the answer to that is really, really simple. People hate on the JCM900 primarily because it's not a JCM800 and it's not plexi. And, you know, those are basically, it's just people turning the nose up in the air. I get people commenting, you know, trolls commenting on my channel all the time, and they think it's an insult, you know, because I've got a JCM 900 sitting behind me instead of an 800, you know, which, you know, that's what I think of those people there. But no, I mean, you know, the Judas Priest have been using the 900s since they came out. Paul Stanley from Kiss has been using, you know, actually, and Ace Frehley as well, even though, you know, he wasn't Kiss at the time, but you know, but both of those guys have been using the JCM 900s pretty much since they came out. There's a lot of, I mean, the 900s are popular. 900s are real popular, and they're starting to gain more steam again today because, you know, they haven't reached that same level of collectability yet that, you know, some of the vintage Plexis and JMPs and stuff have. You know, and it's probably going to be a little while longer before they do. The other thing that a lot of people, that a lot of Marshall cork sniffers don't like about the 900s on the dual reverbs anyway, use internal diodes for their gain stages, so it, you know, it kind of, you know, cheats, so to speak, as opposed to, you know, it has tubes, and, you know, the tubes do serve, you know, do operate and serve a purpose, but a lot of gain inside that amp actually comes from the diodes. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of cork sniffers out there that don't like that for whatever reason. Let's see. Where are we? BT Gun's a good name for my YouTube. Someone in Shreveport planning on my 3 years of labor for free. I don't know what that's about. Ricky Compton says, how do you like the Schecter Strat style guitar you got a couple months back? You seem to play it in a lot of your videos. I'm assuming you're talking about this guy, the CR6, and the answer is I like it quite a bit. Plays great. It's got the, you know, there's a couple, when I bought that guitar, there's a few features in a new guitar specifically that I was looking for. I wanted, you know, I did not want a trim, so I wanted a hardtail or you know, a stop tail or string through or something like that. Something I didn't want to mess with the trim on this one. I actually wanted bolt-on neck because most of my guitars are set neck or neck through, and, you know, bolt-on necks actually have, you know, they got a little bit different snap to it. I knew it was something I was going to be using in a lot of videos, so I did not want it to be astronomically priced. I wanted it to, you know, for the most part, you know, most of the gear that I use in videos, you know, to demo pedals and amps and stuff, you know, I generally try to use a guitar that's pretty accessible to, you know, most people out there, you know, something that costs somewhere between $600 and $700, and, you know, usually not much more than $1,500 or, you know, or $2,000. So, you know, for the most part, those are, you know, that's what I generally try to use, because it's, you know, I don't want to be one of those guys that, you know, says, hey, you know, can you check out this, you know, this $400 distortion pedal that I'm going to demo with this, you know, this $5,000 guitar through this $8,000 amplifier. How do you think it sounds? So, you know, I hear people, you know, I hear and I see people complaining about that on, you know, guitar groups on Facebook all the time, even though I think it's ridiculous, because I can't think of any, you know, any guitar YouTube demo guys at all that do that. Most everybody most of the guitar channels that demo gear, most of them are, they generally use, again, very, very, a gear that's, gear that's accessible to everybody, most everybody anyway. So, but to answer your question, those are the main things I was looking for. And passive pickups. Also wanted passive pickups with a coil tap, so I could do humbucker and single coil tones and all that kind of stuff. So, and that would fit all the bill. Checked all the boxes, and pretty affordable too. So, what are they? $6.99, brand new. So, to answer your question, I've been very, very happy with it. It's not going anywhere. Sound fine. Talking about the pitch. No clipping for a while now. Cool. Give me a minute to get caught up in the chat here, folks. I don't know if there's any female viewers in here at the moment, but we do have female subscribers to this channel. So, loud and clear from North Captiva, Florida. Your friend Gerald Jeff. And of course, your screen name is written in Cyrillic. Hadley Scott says, had the 900, the loudest 50-watt basement in Shreveport. Oh, them bastard bitches sold both. That sucks. God, I hate to hear about people getting their gear stolen. Jack Rosa says, Robert, what do you think of a guitar synthesizer? It's kind of a broad term. The synthesizer processors, like the floor pedals and stuff, like that Roland makes, and then you've got the synthesizers like the keytars, instruments like that. And so I'm not, if you're talking about the processors, I'm going to assume that's what you're talking about. I'm not a big processor guy. Just too many knobs and buttons and switches and stuff like that just isn't it's just not for me. I prefer stomp boxes so I can dial them and set them up, set them to where I want to go, and or set them to what I want them to do, and leave it there for the rest of my life. I'm a set it and forget it kind of guy. So I don't want to be. I talked about this in a video here a few weeks ago. The last thing I want to do is be one of those guys that is spending more time tweaking his gear than he is playing through it. So. Dan's World says my best friend lost his daughter to it, and I'm assuming talking about the coronavirus. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible, man. There's a lot of, these are tough times that we're going through right now, man. Really, really tough times. So I'm hoping we get through this sooner rather than later, but I don't have any more control over it than anybody else. Give me a second, I gotta get caught up again. Timothy Hawkins says, hello Robert, Tim from San Francisco. How are you? Greetings, welcome. I'll be with you, virtually no virus here in West Cork. Lefty Guitarist says, hello Robert, greetings from Sweden. Nice to catch one of your live streams. Love your content and the way you present it. All the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honestly, one of the hardest things about running a YouTube channel, sitting in front of the camera is the easy part. What is difficult is, a lot of times it's coming up with the content and, more importantly, thinking about and figuring out how I'm going to deliver it. I'm not gonna share any details because I want to keep this one secret for a while until I figure it out. But I've got a crazy video idea in my head right now, and I've spent about the last day or two anyway, kind of writing down some notes and thinking about kind of going back and forth, how I want to deliver each one of these specific points, and I also want to make sure if there's anything else I need to add to it. But thinking about, because you got to think about how you're going to deliver it, and you got to think about what I have gotten in the habit of doing anyway is thinking about how it's going to, something like this anyway, is going to look when presented on camera. So particularly for this particular video idea that I have, I've got to think about camera angles and how it's going to be presented and how it's going to how the viewer is going to perceive it. So once you get that nailed down, then again, then you sit down, sometimes you got to think about what's going to be the most efficient way to record this video and this information, as I'm delivering it in this manner. So there's a lot of like technical logistical stuff that you got to figure out about making a video as you're going into it. Sitting in front of the camera is the easy part. Because then once you're done sitting in front of the camera, then you got to throw it all here into the computer, and then you got to edit it, and that's on average it takes me probably between 2 and 4 hours to edit a video. So YouTube's a lot of work, man. YouTube is a lot of work, but it's been very, very rewarding for me. I'm not getting rich from it by any means, but it has been very rewarding, and I'm 4.5 years later, I'm still doing it, and I'm still doing it regularly, and it still takes up a lot of my time. I've given up a lot of the time that I used to devote to other things like playing golf. I love to play golf, and I don't get to play as often as I used to, or anywhere near it. I mean, I used to play at least once every weekend, if not twice, and maybe even a third time during the week if I could find time to do it. Now, I don't get played anywhere near that often, so it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. Lord Winterheart says, any opinions on Vietnam-made Marshalls? Honestly, I'm not a fan. I love Marshalls, but I think the MA series, which I think which thank God, I think they discontinued them. I think those came out of Vietnam, and those were some of the shittiest sounding amps, not just Marshalls, but amps I've ever heard, ever. So now, anytime a company starts manufacturing their products in a place like that, that maybe might not have a lot of history with building guitar gear, like in the 60s, when a lot of the guitar makers started building guitars in Japan. Pardon me. Japanese made guitars from the 60s are notorious for being dog shit, really. There was a lot of bad guitars that came out of Japan in the 60s, and then once we got into the early mid 70s, they figured it out, and now guitars made in Japan from about the late 70s, pretty much all the way up until today, are pretty highly sought after because they're known worldwide to be very good quality guitars. But they weren't always that way. They had to learn how to do it first. So, Vietnam is a country that is pretty new to making guitars and amps and various other guitar gear. So, they're not great at it yet, but maybe they'll figure it out, and quality will improve on them. Let's see. My CR62. Yeah, it's really cool guitar, great sounding as well. Your Schecter always sounds good in your videos. Yes, I enjoy it. I've got two Schecters. I've got the CR6 I just showed you guys, and I've got my Blackjack SLX that I use. That was my main guitar videos for quite a while. I still use that. I just used that one for a couple of videos here recently. That's still awesome guitar. So no, I like Schecters, man. I like Schecter quite a bit. I think, you know, bang for the buck, they are very, very tough to beat. Very tough to beat. You know, I think they put out a fantastic quality guitar. Ricky Compton says, love your Joyo videos. I have a Joyo compressor, a Joyo analog delay, great pedals for the price. Thank you. They are... I've actually got a couple more Joyo videos that will be coming down the pike here in the next few weeks. They were kind enough to send me, you know, they sent me a few things to demo for you guys. Not a lot, but you know, 4, 5, 6 different, you know, different items. You know, I learned from the Boss videos, you know, the 200 series videos that I did. I released those in succession. In fact, every single day for 5 days in a row. And then by the time I got all the way to the 5th one, you guys were sick of Boss videos on this channel, and you know, you guys didn't check them out at all, and you know, that kind of made me look like a douchebag in front of Boss, but that's okay. So you know, I don't want to do that with you know, with the Joyo stuff. So I want to spread it out a little bit, and that way you guys don't get burnt out on Joyo gear, at least not too quickly. So can you hold that guitar up again? Why? Oh God. There it is. Have you ever, Matt Ruzek says, have you ever tried the Jackson X Series Soloist SL4X? It's on sale, and I got $1,200 burning a hole in my pocket. I haven't played that particular model. You know, I'm not. You know, when Jackson first started coming out with the X Series, or you know, let's call it what it is, when Fender first started coming out with the Jackson X Series, you know, most of those are being made in India, and you know, that was another. There's another example of what I was just talking about with Vietnam. You know, the first several years of those you know, X Series guitars, garbage. I don't care what price point it was. They were all garbage, and I haven't played that particular model, but you know, they seem to have gotten better at building them. So, yeah, you know, I miss the old, you know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, however long it's been now, you know, when Jack still had their Made in Japan line. Those were my favorites, outside of the USA stuff. So, you know, yeah. So, and I'm kind of stuck on that. Same with the Charvel. You know, same with the Charvels. I really like the Made in Japan Charvels. You know, the stuff made in Mexico, you know, seems to be okay. Seems to be pretty well made. And matter of fact, I've got a friend of mine that has. He bought one of the. Matter of fact, I sold it to him. One of the new Fender Player Series Strats. You know, the ones that replaced the old main Mexico standard series. He bought a Player Series Strat for, you know, what are they, $600 or something like that, and he loves it, and he's been real happy with it. And his other main guitar is a I think it's one of the Charvel Pro mods that are made in Mexico as well, like, you know, stuff like $900,000 or something like that. You know, those are his two main guitars right now, and this is a guy that played nothing but Gibsons and PRSs especially for years. So, you know, More positive we are going through. Sorry, you're back, boss. Sorry, guys. Here, give me a moment. I need to get caught up in the chat again here. How long have we been cooking? 44, right at 45 minutes. Thereabouts. Right at 45 minutes. Usually when I got a live stream going, I usually have, you know, some goofy text up here on the screen that, you know, that is a hint to point out the tip jar or the, you know, the dollar sign or something like that. But I thought I had told Streamlabs to put it on there, but for some reason it's not there. And I do it partially as, you know, something goofy, you know, because I think it's funny to put it on the screen, and partially because this is part of what I do for a living, and you know, need tips. But it's tough times for a lot of people out there right now too. Three confirmed cases in your county. We've got quite, you know, we've got a couple thousand confirmed in our county at least. I live in a pretty highly populated county though, so just a crazy run. Just for a song about my dog dying, she just 1 out 30, about 3.5 hours. From Detroit. Nope. Where we go? Stay Metal Ray has joined the foray. What's up, dude? If you guys aren't familiar with the Stay Metal Ray's channel, I strongly encourage you to go check it out. He is he's a pretty neat guy, and cool guy, great guitar player, knows a lot about guitar gear, and the biggest Slipknot fan I've ever met. So if you need insight on Slipknot, Stay Metal Ray is your guy, but he's also your guy for a lot of. Honestly, I've learned a lot about about this, just from watching Ray's channel, because he's a far better recording engineer than I will probably ever be. He writes some really cool metal riffs, and his tracks always just sound killer. Half the time I absolutely despise what when I'm done with recording something of mine, I hate half the time I hate what I recorded, but for the purposes it's recorded for, which is usually for a demo video, I try not to take it too seriously. So go check out Ray's channel. Give me a second to get caught up again here. I'm a slow reader. Jack Rosa says, "What not to buy a guitar player?" That was the Christmas video that I did, which that video did really well for me. And it was one of those videos I never do this, but it was one of those rare instances I found myself laughing at myself as I was editing it. So yeah, that video was a lot of fun. Pissed off a few people, but those are usually the fun ones. Nice, the phone was Paul. The tone would. Lord Wardenhart says, "Have you tested the newest DSLs?" Yes, and I'm actually pretty impressed with them. Those are awesome. The original DSL, the JCM 2000 series DSLs, those are really good amps, and those were, they're like the 900s a generation later, they don't sound like 900s by any means, but they're great, just great amps, and, a lot of people use them for a lot of different genres of music, and they were, originally the JCM 2000 series ones, which, those are my favorites. Those were still made in the UK, and then in like 2010 or something, 2011, Marshall discontinued them, and they were off the market. And then they brought them back 2 years later, called them a reissue, except now they were made in China or something, and about the same. I think they were a little bit cheaper now. I think they were like $200 or $300 less than the original ones were, but but they moved production over to China, and they took out the JCM 2000 moniker. And I remember AB and those two versions right next to each other through the same cab at the time, and they sounded about the same. There was not a whole lot, there wasn't much difference. But the new versions, the new DSLs that just replaced that series, those are pretty cool. Those are pretty awesome. I would like to have one of the heads, to be honest, but I'm not going to be buying any gear here for a while, so my stimulus check just went straight into the that's sitting straight in the savings account just in case we need it. Christian says, Robert, do you play any instruments besides guitar? I've been loving me some harmonicas since quarantine started. Well, I have a video where I played a harmonica. I have a video where I played a slide whistle, and I play bass like a guitar player plays bass, which means I play with a pick and typically just follow the root. Basically I'm a guitar player that needs to track a bass every now and again. But that's really it. I'm a guitar player primarily, so I'm not. It's not fair to call me a bass player. Not fair at all to call me a bass player, because I'm not. Like I said, I fake it a lot better than I really do. I have played bass in a band before, but I'm not a bass player. Mikey Gabbard says, I'll never buy a Chinese guitar again. I don't